HOA Karen dumped concrete in my well. But she walked right into my legal bait. She thought she erased my property. She thought she buried my voice. But every bag of cement she poured was proof stacking against her. Because what she didn't know was, I wasn't planning to stop her. I was recording her. And when she smiled, standing over my destroyed well, she had no idea. She had already lost everything. Welcome to HOA Nightmares, where power-hungry boards meet their reality. I'm Mark, a simple homeowner living on the edge of a quiet town in Pennsylvania. I work as a freelance property inspector, just trying to live a peaceful life. But if you hate HOA abuse, if you love seeing Karens get exposed, hit subscribe, comment HOA below, and share this with anyone who ever suffered under HOA rules. Now let me tell you how one concrete dump turned into a legal trap. I never believed someone would try to destroy part of my land just to feel powerful. Not until I met her. Her name was Karen. White SUV. Clipboard always in hand. Perfect smile. Perfect tone. Perfect control. At least she thought she had control. I moved into this house 2 years ago. Quiet area. Tree-lined roads. Old farms turned into suburbs. And behind my backyard was something special. An old stone well. Not active. Not connected. But historic. Built decades before this place became a so-called perfect HOA community. Most neighbors saw it as an eyesore. I saw it as history. Character. Something real. Karen saw it as a problem. The first time she approached me, she didn't even say hello. She said, "That structure violates neighborhood aesthetics." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. She didn't laugh back. She pointed at it. Like a teacher pointing at a problem on the board. "You need to remove or modify it," she said, with her tight HOA smile. I asked her, "Where in the rules it says that?" She looked surprised, like no one ever questioned her before. "I'll have the board send you paperwork," she replied, and walked away. That's when I knew she wasn't used to resistance. A few days later, the violations started. Letters, warnings, complaints about my lawn, my trash bin, my mailbox height. But it was always about the well. Always. The board kept claiming it lowered property value, ruined the neighborhood look, encouraged safety issues. I did my research, pulled old documents, talked to a local historian, took pictures of the original land map. That well was protected, historically listed, not removable, without actual government approval. But HOA Karens don't care about government. They care about power. I sent them proof. Real documents. Real history. Real facts. Their reply was short. Still violates HOA visual standards. No logic. No reason. Just ego. That's when I stopped fighting and started watching. Karen got louder. Started walking by my house slowly, staring at the well. Sometimes I caught her taking photos on her phone. One day, she stopped by again. "You're being difficult on purpose," she said. I smiled. "No. I just follow real laws." Her lips tightened. like she tasted something bitter. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "You'll be compliant eventually." I didn't respond. I just watched. 3 nights later, around 2:30 a.m., I heard a deep engine rumble. A dump truck sound. But not close to the road. Closer. I stepped quietly toward my back window. And there it was. A bright truck. Parked behind my yard. Headlights off. Just hazard lights blinking faintly. I grabbed my phone. Started recording without a word. Then I saw her. Karen. Standing near my well. Wearing dark clothes. With 2 men. They were holding heavy concrete bags. And a pump hose. As my heart pounded, I stayed silent. Because she didn't see me. She only saw control. They started pouring thick gray concrete, flowing into my well. Bag after bag. Like they were burying a body. Her voice echoed. Quiet but clear. That should shut him up. I froze. Not from fear. From realization. This wasn't an accident. This was aggression. They left in under 20 minutes. Truck gone. Lights out. Silence again. I walked to the well slowly. My hands shaking. But my mind clear. I looked down. Concrete. Fresh. Wet. Ruining what was historic. My first thought was anger. My second was strategy. I didn't panic. Didn't shout. Didn't confront her. Because now I had something better. Proof. I saved the video. Uploaded a copy to cloud storage. And backed it up twice. Because if HOA taught me something, it was this. Power loves silence. But proof destroys it. I covered the well with a tarp and left it untouched. No repair. No cleanup. No reaction. Letting her think she had one. But deep down, I knew she just signed the worst mistake of her life. And now I ask you, if someone did this to your property, would you expose them immediately? Or let them dig their hole deeper? Tell me in the comments. Because this was only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of fear, but because of clarity. Karen thought she buried my property. But she really poured cement over her own future. Morning came slow. The sky gray. Birds quiet. Like they also felt something wrong had happened. I walked outside. Standing near the well. Pretending to be lost. Like my world just cracked. And that's exactly what she wanted. At 9:12 a.m., her white SUV rolled in. Stopped slowly. Like a predator. Pretending to be calm. She stepped out. Perfect makeup. Sunglasses on. Fake concern in her voice. Oh my God. What happened here? I looked at her. Like a broken homeowner. I don't know. I whispered. Her lips twitched. Just for a second. Then she hit it with sympathy. That's horrible. That thing was dangerous anyway. Maybe this is for the best. For the best. That's when I knew. She believed she already won. She bent slightly. Pretending to care. You should probably remove what's left. I can help you file a report if you want. I almost smiled. But instead, I played stunned. I need time. I said quietly. She nodded slowly. Like a queen granting mercy. Of course. But don't take too long. Then she left. Leaving tire marks on my gravel drive. But what she didn't see was the camera fixed above my garage. Still recording. Every step. Every word. Every fake emotion. I had installed it months ago, when she first started circling my property. And now, that camera was worth gold. I didn't post the video. Didn't confront. Didn't shout. Instead, I made a call. Not to the HOA. Not to a lawyer yet. But to the county property office. I asked about historic structure protection, private property damage, and unlawful destruction. Their voice shifted when I mentioned an HOA member. They told me to document everything. I laughed inside. Because I had more than they could imagine. 3 days passed. I kept quiet. I acted defeated. Kept the tarp over the well. Never spoke to neighbors. Let them think they broke me. But something interesting happened. People started stopping by. Neighbors who used to just wave from distance. They started whispering. You know, the board has been wild lately. She's been targeting different people. She fined me for a flag. She told my kid his chalk art was unsanitary. I wasn't alone. And she didn't know it yet. Then the notice came. Bright orange envelope. HOA stamp. Final warning. Subject. Illegal structure violation update. They demanded I fill the well completely and cover the area within 14 days or face legal fines. Karen signed it personally. That signature. I stared at it like a cheating card. Because that letter proved something important. She officially acknowledged the well after already destroying it. Which meant their own records would trap them. I drove to her board office. Not angry. Not loud. Calm. Because when you're calm, people reveal more. I stepped in. And she froze. But quickly masked it. My favorite homeowner. She smiled. The room was full. Other board members. Coffee cups. Clipboards. Plastic smiles. I laid the letter on the table and softly said, You guys want me to fill something that your member already destroyed. The room went silent. Karen blinked. I'm not sure what you're implying. I nodded. Oh, nothing. I just wanted to inform you. I have visual documentation of the night my private property was altered. She froze. Once again. But this time, she didn't blink. A man next to her asked, What kind of documentation? I leaned back. The kind that shows faces, vehicles, voices. Karen's jaw tightened. And that moment, that tiny moment, was enough. Enough proof that she knew exactly what I meant. But I didn't play my hand yet. I stood up, smiled politely. I'll be responding legally soon. And walked out. Her eyes followed me all the way. Like a deer facing headlights. I went home. Deleted all outside emotion. But inside, the furnace was burning. I knew my next move Had to be clean. Precise. Legal. Not emotional. Strategic. Because this wasn't neighbor drama anymore. It was war with paperwork. And Karen just joined. Without a helmet. That night, I uploaded another backup. Secured more cloud storage. Called a legal consultant. The consultant paused. After watching the video. Then said, "This isn't just HOA drama. This could become a serious civil case." I smiled. Soft. Because that's what I wanted. Karen thought she silenced me. But all she did was give me a microphone. And I hadn't even spoken yet. Now tell me honestly. If you were me, would you reveal the footage immediately? Or let her stay comfortable? While the trap keeps tightening. What would you do? Comment below. I'm reading everything. By the next morning, the entire neighborhood knew. Not because I wanted attention. Not because I posted it online. But because she couldn't stop talking. Her SUV was parked crooked across the HOA office driveway. She was already pacing when I arrived. Phone in one hand. Clipboard in the other. Like both could protect her. The concrete in my well had only been there one night. And already she looked like she hadn't slept in a week. Dark circles under her eyes. Jaw tight. Smile completely gone. Now listen, she said. We can resolve this internally. Internally. The same word she used last time. When she tried to fine Mr. Rodriguez. For having the wrong colored flower pots. I didn't interrupt. I didn't argue. I didn't even correct her. I just listened. Because when someone is cornered, they talk. And when they talk, they make mistakes. Why would the HOA resolve vandalism internally? I asked. Isn't that a legal matter? Her face twitched. This wasn't vandalism, she snapped. It was. HOA land maintenance. On private property? I said. Calm. Even. Neutral. That well hasn't been used in years, she fired back. It was a hazard. A liability. Someone could fall in. You mean like the surveyor you refused entry? Her lips pressed into a thin white line. You never registered that well with the HOA. I smiled just slightly. I registered it with the county. Silence. The kind that feels like it swallows noise. Then footsteps behind us. 3 board members. 2 I recognized. 1 I didn't. And one of them wasn't smiling. Karen, one of the men said slowly, what exactly did you order the maintenance crew to do? Her posture changed instantly. Less aggressive. More official. Community safety improvements, she said smoothly. The homeowner's well presented a risk. Concrete was a temporary reinforcement until we could schedule a full cover. The new board member raised an eyebrow. Did the HOA vote on that? She blinked. No, but I have authority for common areas, he interrupted. That well is not common. I could almost hear something crack. Not concrete. Her patience. She turned to me again. Why are you even doing this? She hissed, lowering her voice. You moved here knowing it was an HOA. I did, I responded. And you moved here knowing being HOA president doesn't make you God. The air shifted. The other board members stepped back slightly. Like they didn't want to be standing close. When her temper snap finally hit. You will regret this, she whispered through her teeth. You think a lawyer is going to scare me? I didn't answer. I handed over a plain manila envelope. No drama. No smirk. Just handed it over. What's this? She asked. Evidence, I said. And a copy of the complaint I filed this morning. The board members leaned in. Her fingers shook as she opened it. Inside. Photos. Surveys. County documents. Property line maps. Well ownership proof. Contractor invoice from the concrete truck. Dashcam screenshots showing her physically pointing at the well. All time-stamped. All documented. You filmed me, she shouted. You recorded yourself, I replied. I just happened to be watching. Her lips parted. Then closed. You can't use surveillance without HOA approval. I tilted my head. You sure you want to say that on record? Because you didn't approve your own cameras on the mailbox poles either. The new board member looked confused. What cameras? She froze. I continued, calmly, like I was reading weather. You installed surveillance equipment on 3 private mailboxes last month. Without notifying homeowners. Without board approval. Without consent. Her face lost color. You don't record people, the man said, his voice suddenly serious. You monitor common areas only. They were stealing mail. Karen snapped. Then you report it, he replied. You don't violate federal law trying to catch them. I could see it. The walls closing. The protection fading. Because here's the thing about power. It only works when people pretend it's real. And they weren't pretending anymore. So, I said gently, like explaining something to a stubborn child. When you dumped concrete into a registered private well. On recorded property. With unauthorized instruction. And used unapproved contractors. I let the pause stretch. She swallowed. You didn't create a hazard, I finished. You created a case. The board members exchanged looks. We need to call this meeting, one finally said. Immediately. Karen's voice wavered. This is ridiculous. He's manipulating you. Or, the new guy responded. We're just finally seeing what he's been dealing with. She turned to leave. But paused. Right at the door. You could have just come to me, she muttered. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't laugh. Didn't gloat. I just said one thing. I did. You brought a cement truck instead. She didn't respond. She just stepped out. And my phone buzzed. A new voicemail. From the county office. And this time. It sounded serious. The voicemail played again. Then a third time. Not because I couldn't hear it. But because I wanted to be sure I hadn't imagined it. This is the County Water and Land Resource Office. We've reviewed your complaint and survey documentation. Your well is officially recognized as a registered private water source. Any unauthorized obstruction or alteration qualifies as property damage and environmental interference. Environmental interference. Those 2 words stuck like nails. Because Karen didn't just dump concrete. She potentially contaminated a historical well. With untreated construction waste. And the county didn't like that. Not even a little. By noon, 2 white county trucks rolled into the neighborhood. Not police. Not HOA. County inspectors. Clipboards. Hard hats. Serious faces. The kind of people who don't argue with you. They certify damage. And let lawyers fight about it later. And Karen? She came flying out of her house. Before they even parked. Sunglasses. Perfect hair. Fake calm. She didn't even look at me. She went straight to them. You can't be here without HOA authorization, she said, forcing a smile. This community is privately governed. The older inspector looked at her without blinking. And your authority doesn't outrank county jurisdiction. Her smile cracked like thin glass. This homeowner requested us, he continued, pulling out his tablet. Which means your permission is not required. She turned to me. You did this, she snapped. I just shrugged. You brought cement. I brought documentation. The inspectors walked past her. Like she wasn't even there. And for the first time since this started, she felt irrelevant. They started at the well. They walked around it slowly. Carefully. They photographed everything. The broken concrete slabs. The powder residue. The cracks in the stone lining. One of them bent down and touched the side of the well. Then looked up. Did the person who dumped this know it's a live well? He asked. Karen laughed nervously. It wasn't being used, she insisted. He told us that himself. He didn't look at her. He looked at me. Have you ever drawn water from here? I nodded once. Not recently, I said. But it still feeds an underground stream connected to agricultural land 2 blocks over. Karen blinked. You're kidding. No, I replied. And neither is he. The inspector sighed. This concrete dust contains untreated binding chemicals, he explained. If they reach groundwater lines, this becomes a contamination case. Her face drained. This is ridiculous, she said. It's just concrete. No, the other inspector corrected. It's an obstruction of a registered water source. They turned back to their boards. And dumping like this, he added, requires specific licensing, permits, and environmental clearance. Karen laughed. A sharp, cracked sound. Our contractor handles all that, she said sharply. The inspector raised a brow. Which contractor? She gave them the company name. Their expressions changed instantly. Not anger. Not surprise. Disappointment. That company's license was suspended 6 months ago, he said. The air dropped. He couldn't legally touch this project even with permission. Karen stepped back. What? He didn't even have county authorization. She shook her head. No, that's impossible. Our HOA uses them all the... She stopped mid-sentence. Because she realized what she just said. She'd admitted. They used suspended contractors. On multiple jobs. And both inspectors wrote that down. Without looking up. A long silence fell. One of the neighbors stood at their window. Then another. Then more. People pretended to water plants. Just to stand outside and listen. And Karen knew. This wasn't just about a well anymore. This was about her. Where did the cement come from? The inspector asked. The HOA ordered it, she answered. Who signed the authorization? She hesitated. Again. Then quietly. I did. He looked up. That's going into the report, he said neutrally. She looked like someone had unplugged her from reality. The inspector walked toward me next. We'll need full removal and remediation. We'll also file a formal notice of damage and environmental risk. Who's responsible? I asked. He glanced back at her. Whoever authorized it. She didn't say a word. Didn't argue. Didn't smirk. Didn't dominate. She just stood there, frozen, while the clipboard clicked. And then. She snapped. You did this on purpose, she shouted at me. You trapped me with paperwork. I looked at her. Finally. You tried to bury my property, I said. I just made sure you used your own signature. The crowd didn't speak. But they didn't need to. Their silence said everything. For years, she'd controlled every minor thing. Grass length. Mailbox colors. Parking rules. Now she couldn't control Anything. The inspectors handed me paperwork. Timelines. Case numbers. Damage documentation. And then I saw it. On the top page. A small sentence. Formal complaint filed under environmental property violation. Karen spotted it too. Her voice shook. You're making this bigger than it needs to be. I shook my head. You made it concrete, I replied. I'm just letting it dry. She turned away. But I wasn't done yet. Because my lawyer called. Right then. I answered on speaker. The neighborhood heard every word. Good news, he said. The letter we drafted? They responded. My stomach tightened. Who responded? The HOA. Karen turned around slowly. And? I asked. He chuckled. They want to talk settlement. She stiffened. I smiled for the first time. Since the concrete hit my well. Tell them, I said calmly. We're just getting started. Her face said it all. She didn't fall. She didn't scream. She just realized. The ground under her was finally breaking. The neighborhood got quieter after that. Not calm. Not peaceful. Just quiet. The kind of quiet where everyone is watching everything. From behind curtains. From cracked blinds. From phones held low like secrets. Because when the county trucks left, they didn't take the tension with them. They planted it. And Karen knew it. She didn't leave her house for 2 days. No clipboard patrols. No lawn inspections. No friendly reminders. Just her security camera. Slowly rotating. Like it was thinking for her. But her silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. Because on the third morning, at exactly 8:17 a.m., a letter slid under my door. Thicker than a normal warning. Heavier. Not just paper. Pressure. I picked it up. HOA letterhead on top. Gold seal. Embossed logo. And a subject line so long. It almost felt like a threat. Notice of emergency compliance review due to property hazard conditions. I laughed. Not loud. Just breath through my nose. Because I already knew. She wasn't going to apologize. She wasn't going to step down. She was going to attack. But legally. I sat at the table. And read every word. They were accusing me now. Saying the well was an unapproved hazard. A community safety risk. An attractive nuisance. That phrase again. But this time. Bigger. Bolder. And at the bottom. Her signature. Fresh. Sharp. Confident. Like she'd practiced it. They wanted me to fill the well completely. With approved material. Or pay daily fines. Karen couldn't fix the concrete. So she wanted to finish the job. I folded the paper carefully. And smiled. Because she'd just fallen. Into the deeper part. Of the trap. My lawyer read it over lunch. Didn't even flinch. Oh, this is good, he said. Good? I asked. He tapped the paper. She's trying to control a structure that's already under county investigation. So? I said. That means she interfered with an active environmental review, he replied. I leaned back. And that means? He smiled slightly. Now it's not just property damage. It's obstruction. The word hit different. Obstruction. I didn't even need to celebrate. Because karma was already writing. By evening, another car arrived. Not county. A private environmental consultant. Sent by the county. They didn't knock. They walked straight to the well. Set up tripods. Took soil samples. Air readings. Ground scans. Karen showed up again. Hair perfect. Face tight. Smile missing. You didn't notify the board, she said stiffly. The consultant didn't even look at her. We notify county, not clubs, he replied. Clubs. Not homeowners association. Clubs. She flinched. I'm the HOA president. He still didn't look. I'm operating under state environmental authority. Her jaw clenched. This time, she had no power. And I could see her realizing it. She hovered near the driveway. Just out of their workspace. Pretending to check her phone. But really, she was watching them. Write her future. Neighbors started gathering again. Not openly. Not loudly. But close enough to hear. And when people gather, stories grow. I heard whispers. Is it true she ordered it? I heard she used an illegal contractor. My cousin got fined by her last year. Every sentence was a brick. Stacking. Slowly. Against her. The consultant eventually turned toward me. This report will be shared with the county, state water agency, and legal departments. Good, I said calmly. He nodded. Do you want to pursue damages? That question hung in the air. Karen's head snapped up. Like prey hearing movement. I didn't answer immediately. I let her wait. Because sometimes, waiting hurts more than words. She turned a water source into a dump, he continued. You have strong legal grounds. I looked at Karen. She tried to hold eye contact. But her confidence wasn't loud like before. It shook. A little. I turned back to him. Yes, I said. I do. The consultant nodded and wrote something down. And she stepped back again. Like every step she took now was forced by reality. The next HOA meeting notice went out the following day. Different tone. Different font. Different urgency. Emergency HOA assembly, attendance strongly requested. Not mandatory. Not commanding. Requested. That was new. I went. Of course I did. Not to fight. Not to shout. Just to sit. And let her face it all. The meeting room felt different. Less controlled. Less choreographed. People spoke without permission. Neighbors who had stayed silent for years suddenly found voices. She abuses fines. She targets certain houses. She never shows financial records. Karen sat at the table. Not standing. Not commanding. Just sitting. Her smile didn't come back. Then someone stood up. An older man. Quiet neighbor. No drama history. I want to know, he said slowly, why she hired a suspended contractor. And never told us. Silence hit like a drop. In deep water. All eyes on her. Not me. Not the well. Horror. For the first time, she didn't have control of the room. She opened her mouth. Closed it again. Tried to smile. But there was no applause this time. No fear in their eyes. Just questions. And something else. Curiosity. The dangerous kind. Because when people start questioning authority, authority starts shaking. And as I watched her sit there, surrounded by words she couldn't redirect, I realized the truth. This wasn't just revenge. This was a collapse. Slow. Silent. Public. And the worst part? I wasn't even the one pushing. She was. With every signature. Every order. Every lie. And now she had to carry it. In front of them all. I leaned back in the chair. And thought. What happens when the person who controls the rules gets trapped by them instead? The meeting didn't end with shouting. Or slammed doors. It ended with silence. And folded arms. And nobody looking at Karen. The way they used to. The HOA room emptied slowly. Not like people do when they're scared. But like people do. When they're thinking. That was worse for her. Because fear is loud. Thinking is quiet. And quiet spreads. I watched her sit there. After most of them left. Still at the table. Still straight-backed. Still trying to hold posture. But her hands betrayed her. They weren't still. They folded. Unfolded. Pressed flat. Then clenched again. Her power didn't disappear in a moment. It leaked. Little by little. Like water finding cracks. There was one last item on the agenda. Community questions. Nobody used to touch that section. It was just decoration. Not tonight. A woman I barely knew raised her hand. Soft voice. Clear eyes. Why were the HOA finances not shared for 3/4, she asked. Karen stiffened. They are available upon request, she replied automatically. The woman nodded. I requested 3 times through email, she said calmly. No response. Another neighbor stood up. I asked for maintenance records last year. Never got them. Another voice from the back. I was fined $300 for grass color compliance. But there's no written regulation for that shade. The room shifted. People leaned forward. You could feel it. The moment people realize. The rulebook might have been fake. Karen raised her hands. Let's not attack the board, she said. Trying to soften her tone. But her voice had lost its edge. Her command. This wasn't her courtroom anymore. It was a town square. And she didn't own the ground. A man near the front spoke. Given the current situation. With the well. With the county. He paused. For transparency reasons. I move that we suspend new fines. Until a full review of board activity. A murmur rippled. Once. Twice. Like a low wave. Karen's eyes snapped toward him. You can't call for that without protocol, she snapped. He didn't back down. And you can't authorize illegal dumping. Without consequences. The air caught. Nobody gasped. They didn't have to. Because everyone already felt it. That line landed exactly where it needed to. Someone else stood. I second his motion. Then another. I support that. Then a third. I want a vote. Karen stood up. Finally. Her shoulders back. Mask on. But her eyes. They had started begging. Not with words. But with that tight panic. She didn't know how to hide. This board operates on structure, she said. We don't make emotional decisions. The man replied calmly. This isn't emotional. He pointed to his phone. This is county recorded. He pulled up the report headline. Visible. Clear. Environmental violation filed against HOA board president. Her name underneath. The room froze again. Not shock this time. Confirmation. She swallowed. The vote happened without ceremony. No long speeches. No drama. Just raised hands. One after another. Like quiet judgment. And when it finished, she wasn't the center anymore. She was just someone sitting near it. They didn't remove her title that night. But they did something worse. They limited her authority. Temporary suspension. No approvals. No fines. No unilateral decisions. Her favorite tool. Taken away. She packed her things slowly. No speech. No angry storm. She just left. Past everyone. And nobody moved. Not to stop her. Not to comfort. Just watched. Outside. I saw her in the parking lot. Standing by her car. Keys in hand. Not getting in. Just standing. Like she wasn't sure. What direction power flows. When it leaves you. You happy now? She asked without looking at me. I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't feel happy. I felt clear. Like a storm had moved. 2 streets down. This isn't about happiness, I said finally. It's about balance. She laughed again. That cracked laugh. Balance? You destroyed my position. I shook my head. You buried a living well. You could have let it go, she snapped. Plenty of people would have. I looked at her. That's why you didn't expect this, I replied. She stared at me. Long. No anger left. Just confusion. Like someone who followed every rule. But still lost the game. Then she got in her car. And drove. Not fast. Not dramatic. Just gone. The next morning. 3 more letters arrived. Different lawyers. Different departments. Different weight. One from Environmental Services. One from Civil Claims. One from an internal HOA Oversight Committee. They weren't asking anymore. They were informing. And all of them mentioned her name. Her authorization. Her actions. Her responsibility. I didn't need revenge now. The system had it. And systems have patience. By afternoon, a rumor ran through the neighborhood. She was stepping down. Not officially yet. But rumors swim faster than truth. And this one had teeth. I walked to the well again. Still broken. Still filled. Still silent. But different. Not buried. Not defeated. Just waiting. Like I was. Waiting to see if she would walk back into it. One more time. Or if she finally understands. That concrete sinks. And truth always rises. And now I've got to ask you something. Not about her. But about you. If someone tried to control your life like that, tried to bury your rights, your space, your peace, would you fight back quiet? Or loud? By the time the court date arrived, the whole neighborhood already knew what was coming. Not because I had told them. But because Karen couldn't stop talking. She'd spent weeks telling anyone who would listen that I was trying to scam the HOA. That I faked the damage. That it was just an old useless well. What she didn't know was that every word she said was making my case stronger. The courtroom silence. The courtroom was quiet when we walked in. Not tense. Not dramatic. Just heavy. Karen sat stiff beside her lawyer, wearing her usual fake professional smile. The one she used at HOA meetings when she thought she was winning. I sat calmly. The evidence was already stacked like bricks. The judge began by reviewing the case. Private property damage. Unauthorized concrete dumping. Harassment. HOA overreach. Karen's lawyer went first. He tried the whole routine. That the well was unsafe. That Karen acted in the community's best interest. That the HOA intended no harm. The judge didn't interrupt. Didn't react. Just listened. And then, my lawyer stood up. The trap closes. He started simple. He showed the survey map, clearly marking the well as legally mine, built long before the HOA even existed. Then the historical property documents, officially recognizing the water rights attached to the land. Then the video footage. The moment Karen ordered the concrete truck. The moment the driver hesitated. The moment she pointed at my well and said, "Cover it. It's a hazard to our community." You could hear a collective inhale in the courtroom. My lawyer paused. Then played the second video. Karen. At the HOA meeting. 7 days earlier. On camera joking with another board member. He uses that well to avoid our water fees. Watch, I'll force him onto city water. A few people in court physically gasped. Karen's face dropped. Her lawyer started whispering urgently. But it was too late. The judge leaned back and spoke calmly. "Mrs. Karen, you didn't act out of safety. You acted out of personal authority." The verdict. The decision was brutal, but fair. Karen was found liable for destruction of private property, abuse of HOA authority, harassment, intentional financial interference. The court ordered full compensation for the ruined well, payment for all cleanup and restoration costs, legal fees covered entirely by her, removal from the HOA board effective immediately, a permanent ban from holding HOA positions again. The HOA itself was placed under review after evidence of multiple abuses surfaced. Karen didn't scream. Didn't argue. She just sat there. Frozen. Like concrete. The real victory. But the real victory didn't come from the money. It came weeks later. When the concrete was removed. When the old stone lining of the well was restored. When clean water began flowing again. And the neighborhood started changing. New HOA leadership. Transparent rules. Open meetings. No more threats. Even my neighbors who once avoided me started stopping by. Not to gossip, but to say thanks. Because they had all been dealing with Karen. For years. And I was just the one she pushed too far. Final scene. One evening. I stood next to the well. The air was quiet. No trucks. No shouting. No threats. Just the sound of water moving again. I dropped a small stone down. And listened. A clean splash. Not buried. Not silenced. Not controlled. Just free again. And that's when I realized. Karen never tried to destroy my well. She just poured concrete over her own power.